Reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 3, Yamaraj instructs his messengers, text 23. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo the holy name.
of the holy name.
Ucharana,
Ucharana,
of the pronouncing.
of the pronouncing.
Mahatmyam,
Mahatmyam,
the exalted position.
the exalted position.
Hare,
Hare,
of the Supreme Lord.
of the Supreme Lord.
Pashyata,
Pashyata,
just see.
just see.
Putraga,
Putraka,
O my dear servants,
O my dear
who
servant,
are like my sons.
who are like my sons.
Ajamila,
Ajamila,
Api,
Api,
even Ajamil,
even Ajamil,
who was considered greatly sinful.
who was considered greatly sinful.
Yena,
Yena,
by the chanting of which,
by the chanting of which,
Eva,
Eva,
certainly,
certainly,
Mrityupasa,
Mrityupasa,
from the ropes of death,
from the ropes of death,
Anuchata,
Anuchata,
was delivered.
was delivered.
Translation. My dear servants, who are as good as my sons, just see how the glorious chanting of the holy name, how glorious is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The greatly sinful Ajamil chanted only to call his son, not knowing that he was chanting the Lord's holy name. Nevertheless, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, he remembered Narayan, and thus he was immediately saved from the ropes of death. Purport. There is no need to conduct research into the significance of the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. The history of Ajamil is sufficient proof of the power of the Lord's holy name and the exalted position of persons who chant the holy name incessantly. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kivalam, kala nasti vanasti vanasti vagatya anyata. In this age of Kali, no one can perform all the ritualistic ceremonies for becoming liberated. That is extremely difficult. Therefore, all the Shastras and all the Acharyas have recommended that in this age one chant the holy name. Mukham karoti vataram bhangam langate krimyat kripatamam mande sri gurum dinachalanam vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nikamana will have a headache, so I missed it. Maybe I should warn you I'm extremely tired. It's been some tough days with very little sleep, many home programs. But I will try. Say something. So here we hear the verse, and I'll just say the verse again. My dear servants, who are as good as my sons, just see how glorious is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The greatly sinful Ajamil chanted only to call his son, not knowing that he was chanting the Lord's holy name. Nevertheless, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, he remembered Narayan, and thus he was immediately saved from the ropes of death. And the interesting thing here is that Prabhupada has mentioned that one should not really, one doesn't have to try to find out or try to improve the chanting in so many ways. He says there's no need to conduct research into the significance of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Why? Because we can just hear it directly from Shastra Praman. So just by hearing from Shastra, immediately that should be the step of a devotee who is serious. He comes to the platform where he understands if it's in Shastra, it works. He doesn't have to go and make his own investigations or his own try. Like now I try this and see the result I get from this, and now I try the result I get from this. This is how the mundane world works. But just by doing some activity, you find out, okay, I do this, I get some money. I do this, I get some satisfaction. So then you find out, okay, I like doing this activity, I don't like doing this activity. But that's not really the process of Krishna consciousness. that where we just see if it's in Shastra. If Prabhupada said it, then it works. And that's enough, coming to that point. And here we hear about the chanting of the holy name. That we should have complete faith that that will bring us the ultimate result. But of course there's more to chanting than just sitting down with our beatbag. As we know, it's a lifestyle. So all the things we are doing gradually gives us the ability or Krishna's mercy so that we can actually chant Hare Krishna. But nonetheless, that is the process. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, as Prabhupada quotes here. Eva Kevalam. That's the only way. There's no other way than chanting Hare Krishna in this age of Kali. So by following that process of the Chitta Dharpanamatra, the heart becomes purified, and then we can actually chant. So Prabhupada would often say that the result and the means are the same. So when we do something and then we get the result, it's the same. And when Prabhupada was asked, what do you get from all this chanting? Prabhupada said, more chanting. So that's what we're after. We're just after chanting, ultimately. We ultimately, the only thing we want in life is to get to know Krishna and what he's doing and who he's with. And that should be nothing else. Of course, also it's a gradual process. So we are fighting with the mind, we are fighting with our senses, we are trying our best to step up to the challenge. But also we should be completely convinced that if Prabhupada said it, it's doable. So the mind can often start preaching to us saying that, hey, this is too difficult. I can't. I'm trying. I'm really sincerely trying, but I can't. I'm too weak. But that's wrong. We choose to be too weak. That's different. But if we really have a desire, then we can do. Then we can follow exactly as Srila Prabhupada put the standard. So it's all come back to desire and to understanding, and that's what we get from Shastra. We get the understanding, we hear, this is what you have to do to attain this success. And just by following that on true faith. How's this verse in 16th chapter? Karya Karya Vyasasa, where Krishna says, just act according to Shastra. And in this way you will understand what you should do and what you should not do. You'll understand what is right and what is wrong. Only if you act according to Shastra. So that is the power, and that's really what the gem or the value we have in Krishna consciousness. That we have this perfect philosophy. And if we train ourselves in this philosophy, we can preach to our mind. Whenever we are in a weak situation, we just start preaching to our mind. Just give yourself a lecture. Standing someplace and the mind starts, hey, maybe you should go and do this, maybe you should do this. Sense gratification. Then just give a lecture to yourself. In here. And that's really what we can do. We can constantly remind ourselves why it's so important to stay on top of over the illusory energy. We cannot even allow ourselves to flirt with Maya for just a second. Jayato vyasankam sangaste sujayate. Sangat sanjayate kama kama prabhudyate. Because we know what happens. Then all the bad qualities comes as lust and attachment and bad association, and from there it goes very fast downhill. Very fast. So we need to come to the point where we constantly so to say, the material influence. Where we will not allow Maya to even come close. And how do we do that? By being constantly absorbed. Constantly hearing, chanting, remembering. Shravanam kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Parasevanam Archanam Mantanam, Dashyam Sakyam Atmanivedam. So if we're constantly engaged in one of the 9 processes, then we can stay aloof, because that's where we get the full mercy of Krishna. When we are giving little to Krishna, Krishna is giving some protection. But if we give our heart fully, Krishna will give the full protection. But that does not mean that it's easy. Because if it's easy, then there's no more fighting, and then there's no more progress. See, fighting means progress. If you think we will make any advancement in any field, not to speak about Krishna consciousness, but in any field of life, any advancement but just sitting back and enjoying, there's no advancement. Of course there's room for relaxation and there's room for enjoying, but in the right way, at the right time. But otherwise, it's a very dangerous situation. Immediately, just a little deviation can bring us all the way back where we started. And then the mind will start saying, hey, why am I spending all this time chanting Hare Krishna? Why am I living such an austere life? Actually, we are not living austere lives. Say sometimes you're living very austere. What is the austerity? What is the austerity? There's no austerity. Of course, being in the material world is austerity, but compared to what people are living out there, we have no austerity. But we tend to forget. We tend to forget when we're in a little honeycomb here or whatever, we're a little here in our protected environment. We tend to forget how much struggling it is to survive out there. How much struggle. And it's not only like working hard, it's just struggling with the mind. So there we are protected to some degree. Again, as we depend upon Krishna, that protection will be there. But if we start depending upon ourselves and say, hey, I don't need to really step up so much to it anymore. When we start being lenient, it doesn't matter I'm a little late for my Gandhi. It doesn't matter I'm not really fixed up chanting my rounds today. No, when we understand what kind of situation we are in this ocean of material existence, and we are gradually drowning. So we have no time to just say, okay, today I will be a little lenient with my sadhana, or I will take a break today. There's no time for breaks. We need to come to the understanding of Arjuna. He became very serious due to suffering. Due to suffering. When he saw the Yamadutas, he became very serious. So we don't need to go through all this pain. We don't need to go through the pain. We have been going through so much pain, and when we look outside the window, we see so much pain out there. But we don't need to go through all that pain. Because pain is only there to keep us in doing our duty. It's like an impetus. It's like a push in this direction. So if we are not doing it voluntarily, we are being forced. And that's mercy. And in Krishna consciousness, we are being forced directly by Krishna. But out there, they're being forced by the senses and the mind and my material nature, the gunas. Constantly being forced. So we can see everybody's running so fast. And what are they running fast for? For enjoying. They want to enjoy. That's the only goal in their life. So how do you get these two together? Running, becoming stressed, and having a job you don't like. How do you get that together with enjoying? Completely contradictory. But they think, in the future, it'll come out there. When I have some money, on my account, then I will retire and I'll go to Hawaii. Right? And I'll lie on the beach all day. Often they won't. Because one thing is they become attached to that sense gratification, or they become attached to get more money, or just circumstances is they cannot leave. And even if they leave and they go to Hawaii, so what's it like? Okay, maybe the first few hours you lie there on the beach, wow, I'm rich now, I have a lot of money, and I'm just rich. And I can just lie here all day. But how long is that fun? Very shortly, then this is not fun. And then you have to go and do something. And that's sinful activities. And then you become frustrated because doing something implies that you are associating with other living entities, and that means suffering. So there's no escape. There's only one escape, and that's fully Krishna consciousness. And it can be very painful to be in between. Arjuna says, what happens to the yogi who doesn't complete the process? He falls away due to weak-heartedness, due to being weak-minded. He falls away after some time. What happens to him? Is he like a ribbon cloud? Will he just become extinguished? But Krishna says, no, if you're trying, there's no one who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. So that's the process of Krishna consciousness. But again, to the degree that we flirt with Maya, that's to the degree we will suffer. And to the degree we are fully Krishna conscious, that's to the degree that we actually find the joy in life. So, but due to the mind, we think that joy is just being peaceful or just being enjoying the senses or the mind. So we can enjoy the senses, that's more gross, but we can also just enjoy the mind. That's more subtle, but it's still material enjoyment. So that's why Prabhupada gave us a process that keeps us Krishna conscious if we actually follow it. And then of course, due to our impatient nature, we want to say, hey, where's the result? But the result is there. The result is there. But we often, maybe we can't see it because we're in the middle of it. Hey, I'm not making announcement here, there's still so much lust in my heart, there's still so much greed there. Yeah, but it's there all the time. It's been there all the time. But now you see it. Now we see it. Before it was just there because we were just acting upon it. So when you satisfy lust, what happens? It gives you a little break. But then it comes back with double force. But when you stop and when you say no more, then the mind will start screaming. So we experience all this. So all that we're making progress, but then we see, hey, I'm not really getting the result I want. But that's why, because we are attached to the result. Kamanya var det kaldes til, meget forlæse på dagen. Makama farer helt til bur, meget til sammen på slåkammen. Krishna says you have the right to perform your prescribed duties, but you're not entitled to what?
The result of your activity.
The result. You're not entitled to that. So what is the result of Krishna consciousness? We are not entitled to that. There's no contract there that Krishna should make us feel happy or even spiritually elevated. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, no matter what you no matter what you do, doesn't matter. The only thing I want to be, I just beg to allow me to please be your servant. Life after life. That's my only desire. How you will treat me, if you will give me great satisfaction or give me a life that just carried around and not really experiencing the material nature, if you will give me such a life, fine. But if you won't, fine. If I will become very, very elevated and people will come and bow down to my feet, and very fine. If I'm not, very fine. So we don't know what is real austerity. I think the real austerity is if people start bowing down to your feet. Because in the beginning it might be pleasurable for the mind, but what all the things that comes with it. It's very difficult to stay Krishna conscious. And we saw so many persons that couldn't take it. People started worshipping them. And then gradually we'll think, oh, I'm such an elevated personality. And gradually we'll wake up one day and think we're God. And then Krishna consciousness is finished. So we don't know what is best for us. We have no clue. The only thing we know, what is best for us is staying Krishna conscious. But the result from Krishna consciousness, we don't know what is good for us. We don't know if it's good for us to not being pushed by the material energy. Whatever problem we have with the body, it's good for us. Not that we should try to provoke it or try to get it, but whatever Krishna ordains for us, that's good for us. And we should see it as such. And this is my way to make more progress. It's easy to do what you like to do all the time. But when it's really a struggle, when you have to get up on the beat, and you're not motivated, and you're not inspired, and then you do it anyway, that's where the progress is. I told you I was so tired, and also last night we were sitting there, and my voice came, I never heard my voice like that, it came very, very deep and very coarse. And I couldn't change it. I was so tired of my voice broke down almost. And I tried for some time, if I haven't been singing for some time, then I lose the voice, I lose the ability. lose the ability to go. Of course you can always sing, but like you cannot go on the high pitch or... So you lose the ability. Why? Because anything we do, we need to maintain it. So anything we are chanting Hare Krishna, but if we don't really maintain it, when we are not really maintaining all the things we are doing, whatever area we want to make progress, we will go backwards. Gradually we will go backwards. And we will lose that ability. So whatever ability, if you want to be Krishna conscious, it takes constant endeavor. As Krishna says. Constant endeavor or determination. It's possible. When Arjuna says it's impossible to control the mind, Krishna says, no, it is possible. Asangsaya mahabahu manu dunigram jam. Abhyasena chakondiya. Abhyasena chakondiya. Vairagya. So, but it's possible. Asangsaya mahabahu, oh mighty Arman, it is very difficult. Asangsaya mahabahu is doing Asangsaya mahabahu manu dunigram charam. It is doing, it's very difficult. Charam because the mind is flickering. But by suitable practice, by sadhana, by having a suitable practice, and by determination or by detachment, then it's possible. So the detachment is anything that is going against our purpose, anything that will not get us closer to Krishna, anything that will not make us make progress, we should reject it. And anything that will, we should accept it. That's so simple. That's why we hear there's only these two rules. It can't be more simple than that. But because we don't really, or it's difficult for us, being somewhat conditioned, it's difficult for us